In 2008, two broke designers in San Francisco bought 3 air mattresses and rented out their living room floor for $80 a night. 15 investors told them it was a terrible idea. Today, that idea is worth $100 billion. Brian Chesky had moved to San Francisco with $42 in his bank account. His college friend Joe Gebbia was in a similar situation. Both were industrial designers with big dreams and zero runway. When the rent came due in October 2007, they had a problem. San Francisco design conferences had packed every hotel in the city, and thousands of attendees were desperately searching for a place to sleep. That's when Chesky and Gebbia had a thought that seemed almost embarrassingly simple. What if they rented out space in their apartment? Not a hotel room, not a spare bedroom. Their living room floor with air mattresses. They built a basic website in 4 days. They called it Airbed and Breakfast. Within a week, 3 strangers were sleeping on their floor. A 35-year-old father from Utah, a 45-year-old woman from Boston, and a young man from India. Each paid $80 per night. Chesky later said those first guests taught him something nobody in Silicon Valley had told him. He said, "The people booking are just like you. They're curious, they're adventurous, they want a real experience, not another anonymous hotel room." The third co-founder, Nathan Blecharczyk, came aboard to build the technical infrastructure. By early 2008, they had a working product. But they had another problem. Nobody knew it existed. They decided to launch again at a bigger event, the 2008 Democratic National Convention in Denver. This time, they listed 800 properties and made $20,000. For 3 designers with $40 to their name, it felt like a breakthrough. What came next would nearly destroy everything. The 3 founders packed up their pitch deck and headed to Silicon Valley. What followed was one of the most instructive rejection streaks in startup history. 7 angel investors passed, then 5 more, then 3 venture capital firms. The polished, confident investors of Sand Hill Road looked at Airbnb and couldn't see it. Who would let strangers sleep in their home? The liability was enormous. The market didn't exist. The founders were designers, not engineers. Paul Graham of Y Combinator, the most prestigious startup accelerator in the world, rejected them too. He later admitted he thought the idea was crazy. Why would anyone rent out their air mattress to a stranger? The founders were running out of money. They had maxed out credit cards. They were eating ramen and skipping meals. At their lowest point, Chesky and Gebbia did something that today sounds either brilliant or completely insane. They designed 2 boxes of cereal, Obama Oz, the breakfast of change, and Captain McCain's, a maverick in every box. It was the 2008 presidential election, and they ordered 500 boxes of each. They sold out in 3 days at $40 per box and raised $30,000, enough to keep the company alive. That cereal stunt did more than pay the bills. It got Paul Graham's attention. Here were founders who could make something from nothing, who could solve any problem creatively, who didn't give up. Graham called them back. He told them something they would never forget. He said the idea was weird, but the founders were relentless. And in startups, relentless founders with a weird idea beat smart founders with an obvious one almost every time. Y Combinator accepted Airbnb in January 2009. The decision shocked the startup world. Graham was betting on people, not product, and he knew it. But acceptance into Y Combinator didn't mean the business was working. Early data showed a troubling pattern. New York was their biggest market, but users in New York were not converting the way they should. People were browsing listings and leaving without booking. Graham sent Chesky to New York with a simple instruction. Go meet your hosts. Don't email them. Don't call them. Show up at their apartments and talk to them face to face. What Chesky discovered changed everything. He visited dozens of hosts across New York City, and the problem was immediately obvious. The photos were terrible. Dark, blurry, taken from the wrong angle. Hosts were using their phones to photograph unmade beds and cluttered rooms. Chesky rented a professional camera. He went back to every host in New York and personally photographed their apartments. Within a week, New York bookings doubled. This is what the startup world calls doing things that don't scale. Professional photography for every listing in every city on Earth is not a repeatable process, but it proved the concept. Beautiful photos converted browsers into bookers. Quality visuals built trust between strangers. Airbnb hired a team of professional photographers and sent them to every city with listings. Within months, properties with professional photos were booking 3 times more than properties without them. The lesson embedded itself into Airbnb's DNA. When growth stalls, go to your users. Not your data, your actual users. Watch what they do. Fix what you find. Then scale what works. By the end of 2009, the company had processed $1 million in bookings. The model was real. Y Combinator didn't just give Airbnb money. It gave them a framework for thinking about growth and the credibility to raise the next round. In 2009, Sequoia Capital, one of the firms that had originally passed on Airbnb, led a $600,000 seed round. The same investors who couldn't see the vision in 2008 were now writing the check. Growth accelerated. By 2010, the platform had hosts in 100 countries. By 2011, it had processed $50 million in bookings and raised over $100 million in funding at a valuation of $1 billion. Chesky made a decision early that most founders get wrong. He decided that Airbnb was not a technology company. It was a hospitality company that used technology. That distinction changed how they hired, how they designed the product, and how they thought about the host and guest relationship. He hired Chris Lehane, a political strategist who had worked in the Clinton White House, to navigate regulatory battles in cities that were trying to ban home sharing. He hired hospitality veterans from Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons. He obsessed over the moment a guest walked into a host's home for the first time. He called it the 11-star experience, not just meeting expectations, not just exceeding them, completely reimagining what hospitality could feel like. The company's relentless focus on experience over extraction is what separated it from every competitor that tried to copy the model. Then came COVID-19. In March 2020, 80% of Airbnb's bookings vanished overnight. Chesky laid off 1/4 of his staff in the most transparent, generous severance process Silicon Valley had ever seen. 6 months later, Airbnb filed for its IPO. In December 2020, the company raised $3.5 billion, the largest technology IPO of the year. Today, Airbnb has over 7 million listings in 220 countries. From air mattresses on a living room floor to $100 billion. What Brian Chesky built was not just a company. It was proof that the most powerful startups are often built on the simplest human needs. The need to belong, the need to connect, the need to find home in a place you've never been. If this story taught you something, hit subscribe. New lessons every week on Founder Fuel.